Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So, huge edit today. I am at Llandegla Forest Park. Absolutely huge trail centre. It's fair to say that a lot of people have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Llandegla, and we're going to get into that as we ride the trails. For me personally, it actually holds it's a very, very significant part of my mountain bike journey. Unfortunately, not always for positive reasons. I've got a little bit of a score to settle and I've got a story to share, and I want to share that with you today. We're going to get into that as we get some riding done. So thanks very much to Eddie Van Murik for creating the superb new intro and outro for the edit. He's also done some awesome graphics and animations that I can use throughout the edits to drive up the production level and hopefully keep you guys as keen as possible. I've also got something to show you. Check it out! Got myself a DJI NEO drone. Not hugely capable as far as drones go, but I mean, I can fit it in my pocket. It's got some really cool auto features, including the little follow feature that you saw there as it was chasing me through the woods. I'm hoping it'll just, again, drive the production level up and keep you guys keen and be able to show you some different shots and some aerial views. And it's a super cool little drone. It's 170 quid. I did buy the extra controller as well to give me more functionality, but you can control it from your phone. It's super cool, and I'm really just having a great time enjoying using it. So yeah, look, I'm hoping that we can really drive this channel forward, guys. We're at about 1,500 subscribers. It's all about community. It's all about inspiring you guys to ride. And from today onwards, hopefully you'll see some small changes in the direction of the channel, which are all positive. So let's get some riding done. So this is the infamous Llandegla 3-mile climb. Seemingly hated in the mountain biking community. It's quite a long drag. Keeps going. All right, chaps. All right. It's gonna crash. Whoa! So I've always kind of got on okay with this climb. It's never really bothered me, but I know plenty of people that hate it. It's quite rough, so it kind of saps your speed. But I don't know. There's definitely worse ways to climb. So Degla is made up of red, blue and black trails, and I think it's fair to say I don't think anyone would call the black. I think it's really black in terms of some quite tough climbing in there, which I think it's more designed to put people off the climbing elements. There's nothing what I would call a true black feature in there. Red is probably more like a blue, but a fairly long blue, and the blue is probably more like a green. But you've got to do the same 3-mile climb to get to all of those trails, which is, I think, potentially part of the issue, really. And honestly, the blue, which I feel is more of a green, I really don't think you get any bang really for the climbing buck, especially compared with a lot of the really superb blues, which we've got in the trail centres. Say Winlass would be a perfect example. Glentress Forest Park would be another. Cody Brennan would be, again, another, not too far from here. So yeah, there's much better trails for people to ride if it's a blue trail that you're looking for. So it feels great to be back out on the bike. I've had a bit of time off, really. We had Lindsay's marathon last week, a couple of weeks ago. Thank you very much to anyone who supported Lindsay with your kind words, and any donations as well to the Clatterbury charity. Thank you very much indeed. She's glad to get that done, and she will be back out on the bike soon. Yeah, I've had a few weeks off. I mean, in all honesty, I just kind of like all the sort of weight training, running and riding and travelling for riding, everything else is just all getting a little bit too much, to be fair. And I started skipping sessions and was going through the motions rather than really feeling like I was getting anything out of it. And I think I've just realised that I don't recover very well. I think a recovery day for me generally ends up being 3 miles out with Hugo, plus wash 2 bikes, hoover a van out, DIY, gardens. It's just not relaxing at all. It's probably should look more like eating popcorn in front of Netflix and binging on TV, but you know, with a family that kind of seldom happens. So and then yeah, I think our holidays tend to be very active as well, so just kind of, I'm quite tuned into my body these days and just aware that I wasn't really feeling 100% and drinking more coffee than normal to get through the normal day. So yeah, I just kind of took 2 weeks where I chilled out and I feel great. I feel absolutely superb. I've trained all this week. I've done a couple of runs and I just feel much stronger. I'm sleeping better. So if that's something you can relate to, just think about your recovery, because you just seldom think about recovery, do we? You know, it's think hard and long about training and what effort you're putting in there, but don't think about the relaxing time that you're having and is it relaxing enough? And I think a tip that I kind of learned off a podcast I listened to recently, it's like most of the time when you think you're chilling, when you take half an hour on the sofa, like you're only just prepping for your chill. You're not actually in the chill zone. It's like watch 2 programs, then you're in chill zone, then watch a couple of movies. You know, that's that's probably more like it. And look, I know it's hard with our modern lifestyles to do that. But yeah, feeling great. So, lots of new kit going on today. The Neo I've just introduced you to. Send it! And also, I'm on a new camera, DJI OSMO Action 4, which I got from the Street Pigeon. Thank you very much, Mr. Pidge. So a few reasons for that. First one was the low light seems to be far superior to the older generation GoPros, certainly. And also wanted to connect a wanted to connect a microphone to improve the sound quality and for some kind of vlog style action, reviews, so I can walk away from the camera and still get decent sound. So yeah, and then there's the DJI MIC 2, which at the moment is auto recording when I press record on the camera. Hopefully should sync quite well with the drone as well. So lots of learning going on in the last 2 weeks, even though there was no recording happening. Right, into the have a taste of the natural selection tracks. Oof. Oh, these have changed a bit, plenty more route being exposed. Oh yeah, they've got a lot more tech than when they were brand new. Shouldn't be surprised really. Oof. Yeah, quite nasty them roots. So in for another little go here. Apologies because my riding was pretty shameful on that first lap. Woo. Warm me up. Let's just say that. No idea where I'm going. These tracks all roll into one, or if they're all different. Oh. Certainly add some variety to what's on offer here at Llandegla. One of the criticism levelled at it was all a bit samey. So yeah, this has definitely added some spice. And you know, these have come fairly tech now, these tracks, to be honest. I'm quite surprised, I've rode them before, some of them. Okay, so we're into the black descent. As I said before, can't really call it black. It's black because of the distance, and there's some pretty tough climbs coming out of here. It's a very physical trail to do it complete. And you know, I think that's probably part of the reason why many people don't like it, is because it requires a lot of effort, and I think by modern standards the downhills are lacking a bit. So you're kind of like perceived effort versus value. Yeah, so we've reached a junction here. You've got gyms, big gyms that way, and you've got Parallel Universe that way. I think the Parallel Universe went in about 10 years ago, don't hold me to that. It's a jump line which, last time I rode it, it's degraded quite a lot. I think there's better jumps in the rest of the trail, so I tend to go on big gyms and ride the old single track. So yeah, well, I'm going to go down that way again today. Big gyms! You can get on my pedals. So yeah, I think the issue that a lot have is that it's the downhills now. These sections were a hell of a lot of fun. They still are to a degree, but you can probably see how worn the surface is and how much of the hardcore knobbly rock is coming through, and it really saps your speed. So, I mean, it's sold as a flow trail, but it's really hard to flow down it. You've got to pedal a lot to keep your speed up, and it's quite frustrating when all you want to do is concentrate on your body position. So I'm putting the low light to the test on the camera here. I mean, look, there's some epic sections. It's a little bit uphill here, and in all honesty, that's why I was keen to come on the e-bike today, because I think any criticism I've ever levelled at Llandegla will be completely alleviated by the fact that you've got a motor and a battery taking the pain out of the climbs and just allowing you to have as much fun as possible on the descents. So really, honestly, was the only bike for me to bring here today, just to see. It's a real test how trail centres really have come alive with e-bikes, and it's no real surprise that weekends at Llandegla have now become pretty much a procession of e-bike riders. Not surprised at all. I've actually got this in turbo just to really take the sting out of those little pedally sections. Never normally ride with it in turbo when I'm going downhill. You've also got the limiter working against you, unfortunately. Definitely a bit rusty today. It's loud, isn't it? Kind of like those uphill jumps. A bit frustrating. Nice, and we're through. Yeah, easier, and obviously now I can just sit back and cruise and let the bike do the work. So, Llandegla is very much the birthplace of the Mindful Trail Biker channel. And this is a story that starts about, I'm going to say, 12 years, 13 years ago. So, you have to picture the scene where I was at then in life. Travelling sales guy, newly single, and fair to say, enjoying the trappings of being a successful sales guy. Travelling sales guy, so working a lot of hours, travelling a lot. Hey! And yeah, look, fair to say, burning the candle at both ends. I was on the dating game and putting a lot of time and energy into that. Drinking a lot, partying with friends, staying in nightclubs till too late, not sleeping well. You know, and then on top of that, and this is always obviously on reflection, at the time I didn't see this at all. You know, I was probably abusing mountain biking in much the same way. In terms of it was riding loads, bigger trails, longer trails, really putting myself through the ringer, pushing the boundaries of my fitness all the time, riding longer trails, riding harder trails, and obviously travelling as well. So travelling distances to get to trail centres, and you know, put on top of that all the poor sleep and everything else. It's a recipe for disaster, really, when you think about it in hindsight. So I came to Llandegla, as I said, about 13 years ago, riding the trail on whatever bike I had at the time, and I got about 3/4 of the way around and had what I know now to be a fairly severe panic attack. Obviously at the time I did not know that it was a panic attack. I just had some serious, what felt like palpitations that lasted longer than a normal palpitation should and would normally. Stopped riding immediately, all the colour washed out of me, and I just felt absolutely awful. Adrenaline kicks in, get the shakes, feeling cold, all the usual symptoms that would arise from having had a panic attack. And yeah, just kind of like managed to semi-calm myself down. A friendly passerby gave me a biscuit. Didn't have any snacks on me. Again, stupid mistake. Not fueling properly for the ride. So I managed to make it to the cafe. And I got into the cafe and tried to order some food. I was struggling to eat it. And just sat there feeling very shivery and really kind of like very, very high level of anxiety from having had the attack. Also very aware that I needed to get myself home. So I managed to kind of like pull myself together enough to get back in the car, and basically I started driving home and was feeling rotten and, you know, really worried and concerned, and, you know, adrenaline pumping, feeling hyper alert, super aware of any feelings in my body that felt unusual, and there was plenty of those. I got about a third of the way home and started to have another panic attack. Pulled over at the side of the road, called an ambulance. Ambulance came very quick, in all fairness. Ambulance team were fantastic, so, you know, thanks to them. And yeah, basically they put ECG on and did lots of tests, and they basically said, look, you know, we think you've had a panic attack. We can't see anything actually wrong in terms of on the machines. So, you know, I kind of felt a little bit better there, but obviously when you've had that raised level of anxiety and you've had a panic attack, the worst feeling there, or the scare or the fear, is having another panic attack because of how serious they do feel at the time. So I did, almost made it home. Kind of. I remember going to my mum's, bless me, in my 30s. I did stay there for a few days, trying to just sort of like, you know, feel normal again. But, you know, that was just the incident. From there was huge knock-on effects, huge implications, and it had some effect for a huge part of my life, probably, what, 10, 12 years, 11, 12 years, it's had some impact on my life. I'll go into that in a bit more detail now. This is one of the jump lines here, which is really good fun. Don't be too disheartened by the first jump. The first jump's massive, the rest of them seem to be, better size. Away! Woo! Yeah, all doable. Just that first one kind of sets you into a bit of a weird sense that you're not going to be able to do it. But they're good, really good fun jump line. Yew! Oh, off my pedals. Well, that was a terrible start. And my pedals. Chicken wire is strong. Send it. A significant drop that these days. Oh my god, it's pitch black in here. Not sure how these... Oh! I see a bloody thing. Hopefully the camera's doing well. These jumps for me, kind of, no, I don't know what it is about them. I think they're too close together. You don't get enough time to reset and get yourself ready. I'm not the only person that struggles with them. Kind of a shame because there's some good potential here, but, and then you get to these and they're just uphill. You're just never going to get enough speed to jump them properly. That's alright. Oi! Nearly. I hate being critical of trails because there's obviously so much time and effort gone into it. So sometimes you feel that certain trails are just lacking a little bit of extra thought when they were being built. That would have made them awesome. I think 2 less jumps in there out of that whole set. A bit more time to set up and get yourself ready is what was needed for sure. Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, got that as well. A little bit more protected from the wind out here as well. Yes. Nice. So, a new section of trail here now. See what we've got. Yeah, beautiful. Having that over-sent it a bit. Oh yeah, that was a bit scared of that one for some reason. Yeah, I'm not quite, they're a bit tall for the first run. A bit tall for me then. Yeah, I got on top of that one though. Yeah, I mean, they're sessionable. So, on to the story. Really what happened from there on was I had major problems exercising because, for obvious reasons, because I felt the exercise had caused the panic attack. So every time I went to the gym or every time I went out on my bike, couldn't get my heart rate high without starting to get the anxiety and the panic feelings coming back. And so it was a real struggle because whilst mountain biking had changed my life already up until that point in a positive way, it gave me the strength to leave a bad relationship and you know, move on and get out of some other negative kind of behaviours that I was doing. Felt like I couldn't ride, and although riding was kind of, you know, the giver of life to me, I'd kind of pinpointed it as something that had made me have this panic attack as well, without associating it with all the other poor behaviours which, you know, in your early 30s you generally don't think appreciate the stress that you put in your body under. So I couldn't ride, or I was trying to ride and finding it difficult, but also developed a problem driving. Now, the problem of course with that is that having raised anxiety levels when you're driving a car, particularly on a motorway, sorry, I'll rephrase that, I had a problem with motorways, and although I had to drive a lot for work, I was getting super high anxiety when I was doing it, really getting into a panic state when I had to. You know, and I did that for quite a long while really, and it was kind of like geeing yourself up to do a journey. And where I got a real problem was they were doing extensive works on the motorway network, creating these absolutely lunatic idea of removing the hard shoulder and widening the lanes, and obviously while they were using the hard shoulder as an extra lane. And while they were doing those works on much of the major road network, they were thinning the lanes out and making everybody drive at 50 mile an hour. And the claustrophobia kind of feeling that I got from that was horrendous. So I got a real problem with driving in roadworks. So it was obviously having quite a large impact on my appetite to do my job properly. So without going into too much detail, many of the career decisions that I made from that point onwards were heavily influenced by the perceived amount of driving I thought I might have to do, which as a travelling sales guy, obviously it's kind of a problem, isn't it? So look, I got by and I've had some really good jobs, and you know, I've managed to kind of work from home for much of the time, which has been great. Ooh, boardwalks! Love a good boardwalk. Something really satisfying about riding boardwalk trails, isn't it? Woo! Yeah, oh my god, massive puddle. Fortunately for me, I went on to meet Lindsay, and you know, life completely changed for me, and yeah, it just became a family unit. I inherited 2 beautiful children, and you know, became a dad, instant dad, and very quickly became a husband, and that just changed everything hugely for the positive. I think I was always meant to be that person, really, just hadn't found the right person to do it with. Lindsay was definitely that, and yeah, completely changed my life. And so yeah, fortunately with the training thing, I was Lindsay decided she wanted to learn how to bike, so it was kind of like it was absolutely perfect, because I was just able to take her riding, and I was able to just go ride places. So she had no previous experience of riding or fitness really, so it allowed me to just really start again. Very basic rides, very, very low distance, very, very low climbing, and actually, you know, teach her to ride properly, and really build it from the ground up, you know, without any expectation from, you know, kind of disappointment from doing smaller rides. And you know, it didn't feel like a waste of time to me, whereas, you know, if you were on it and you were used to doing 20-mile rides and loads of awesome downhills, you know, maybe the level of frustration would stop you being a good teacher, because you'll be selfishly thinking about your own ride. I started to get much more confidence with my riding, training in general, and yeah, the more I did it, the more normal it felt, And eventually I just completely forgot about that problem, completely removed itself from my life. The driving one was more difficult because the situation of driving, kind of, the way to kind of get over it is to do it more often, but obviously it felt really, yeah, it just felt dangerous to be driving and, you know, potentially having a panic attack in the middle of traffic. So I kind of, whereas I knew what I should be doing, it was difficult to actually get myself to do it. And I went through a long period of time where Lindsay was just coming with me, and it was like that felt okay as well. Yeah, so I was driving places to go riding and stuff with Lindsay, and you know, she was my co-pilot. So, but yeah, it took way longer to cure the driving problem. And I'll be very honest and say, you know, I'm not keen on driving down south. I don't like these 4-lane motorways with no, you know, with no hard shoulder. I just think they're incredibly dangerous, and it is a lifeline. And it's probably doesn't even occur to anyone else. Just never had a problem with that, but to me it's a massive thing. So shame on you, whoever got that design past. Something that really helped for me when I was trying to come to terms with particularly the driving element was a course called the Thrive program, which is basically cognitive behaviour therapy, but it goes quite deep really, and it kind of makes you understand about your perception of the world and how you can change that, and goes deep into the language that you use. It goes into gratitude and how that can have a huge effect, an impact on how you see things, and very, very helpful in any situation for anyone who's suffering, you know, doesn't feel like they're in control of their life, because I didn't. It's like, you know, I was functioning completely normally. You wouldn't know if you'd have spoken to me that had a problem, and I think that's part of the reason I'm sharing this, is that you don't know how and why and when people are suffering. So yeah, the Thrive program was very helpful, and if anybody is thinking this is resonating with this, and obviously it doesn't have to be the same situation, anxiety, you know, is triggered by many things, as is depression, etc. So I would recommend it. I think it's like 6 or 7 sessions on a book. So you read the first chapter of the book, you have an initial session, you read the first couple of chapters of the book, and then you go back for your second session, you discuss everything on that. Really, I found it incredibly useful. It was a great tool. Gave me a lot of confidence, and I still kind of refer to it now. Some really good stuff in there. So yeah, something I would recommend for someone who feels like they don't know where to turn. I've spent years and years and years reading about the human brain, reading about fight and flight response, and you know, how the body reacts to external stimulus, and mind and body balance, and all these things. And that's essentially where Mindful Trail Biker came from. I've rebuilt myself, and I've rebuilt myself stronger and better than before, and I've done it whilst mountain biking. And mountain biking has given me the strength, and it gave me the reason to carry on, because although I was scared of exercising, there was absolutely no way I was going to give up mountain biking. Not a chance in hell. Woo! It's given me absolutely everything as mountain biking, and I love it. It's an incredible sport, and with mountain biking by your side, the lessons that you learn from mountain biking, the lessons that you take in everyday life, and you can push yourself on a bike, do hard things. There's pretty much nothing you can't do in life. And I appreciate this has been really waffly edit. So if you're still watching now, thank you very much. I appreciate you. and I hope you're getting something from the channel. On reflection, superb set of trails at Llandegla. I think they make a lot more sense on an e-bike, or they're certainly more enjoyable for the amount of effort. That said, really great test of fitness, and for expanding fitness if you're on an analog bike. Got the new natural selection trails there, adding some good variety in as well. You've got a superb shop, great cafe, and really nice cup of coffee, great food, and you've got a selection of hire bikes, and you've got cleaning facilities and a pretty decent skills area with where you can practice some woodwork riding, practice some jumps, some drops and corners, all those sort of key skills that you can learn here. I think it makes a lot of sense for families. I do think really the blue doesn't really offer any real fun, if I'm being honest, and I think really that's, you need to wait till you think you've got the legs and the energy to do the distance of the red and just ride that instead. There's nothing too technical on there, so that would be my advice on that. But otherwise, yeah, I've had a great day, great trail centre, and there's lots of fun to be had. Yeah, so I have ridden here since the incident. I've ridden here several times, but I don't think I've ever really made peace with it. Today felt like really good therapy for that. So thanks for coming along and being part of that journey. So, why am I sharing this? So as someone who's been riding for years, I've kind of always thought, mountain biking was just about adrenaline and about fun. And as I said before, I kind of, maybe in some ways abused it. In a way, it was another dopamine hit. Over time, I've realised, obviously, that it's so much more than that. Mountain biking has helped me work through some pretty tough moments, and it's whenever I've got any sort of key life decisions to make, I will generally always give it plenty of thinking time, and I'll give it thinking time out on the bike. Part of the reason I'm sharing this is because I'm sure that I'm not the only person that's going through that, through this, and maybe not as specific as mine, but I know there's quite a large percentage of adults and kids these days, unfortunately, that that suffer with anxiety and maybe don't know how to, which way to turn with it. We all face challenges, and sometimes I think it's nice to hear a positive story about somebody who's, made it through the other side, through some of those dark times. I wanted to bring this mindfulness element into the channel because, I'm very, very much aware how much mountain biking has given me, and a lot of us are using this riding time, to build connection with friends and to just, be in nature and kind of feel all the benefits that you get from being outside, and we're using it for that sort of solid thinking time, and that is in essence mindfulness. Trails can be a place for just to get some space. They can be about sort of growth. They can be for for healing. So while the channel's always been about fun and about adventure, just wanted to really try and inject some of the mindful element in. It was always the plan. I just struggled really to come to terms with how to do it, and I think I've got some ideas now, so it won't detract from what the channel has become and what it's about, and helping you find new places to ride, and the fun of riding bikes with your friends, and getting a bit scared at times, and all the kind of things that we've been doing together. But I do also want to share how riding has shaped my mental well-being, and how I use it as a vehicle and a tool to keep myself straight, and to find solace and peace and just grow. It's had such a huge positive impact on my life. I can't even begin to explain to you. I do find it difficult to find the words. To what mountain biking has done for me. And it doesn't matter whether it's a gentle ride down a canal towpath. It doesn't matter if you're climbing up a mountain with your bike on your back, or smashing a downhill descent in the Alps. It's all riding, and at whatever level you're at, it's about understanding that when you are taking that time to ride, understanding what the benefits are. And I'm just going to invite you to kind of like slow down sometimes and really take it in and understand when you are getting the benefits from doing what you're doing outside. Look, I appreciate this is not, I'm not a therapist and I'm not helping people recover here, but the message is that it took me a long time to cure some of my issues, but I did. You can come out the other side. So however serious it feels, like there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I just implore you to talk to your nearest and dearest, your closest friend or your closest family member or your partner. Just open up to them about it, and let them help you. And you know, let them help you, and then even just that gives you then the strength to start moving on. Just talking about it, this for me has actually been therapy today for sure. It feels like I'm almost closing that book. I hope this has been useful to you guys. Please drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know if there's any trails that you know, that have been significant to you for positive or for negative reasons. And you know, please drop us a comment if this is something that resonates with you. And I thank you very much for watching. I appreciate all of you. So don't forget, breathe, ride, thrive. Let's do it.